Throughout history, the richest among us have built fortunes on self-discipline, not splurges. They lived by old adages. As Benjamin Franklin warned, rather go to bed without dinner than rise in debt. This sets the tone. History's wealthiest chose prudence over impulse. In this video, we'll explore 5 key habits that titans like Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Vanderbilt used to steer clear of crippling debt. Lessons you can apply today. 1. Live below your means. John D. Rockefeller kept his eye on the long game. He famously quipped, "It's better to save now than to have to save later." His focus was on pennies saved rather than dollars spent. Even as he built Standard Oil into an empire, Rockefeller despised flashing wealth. He wore modest clothes, avoided ostentatious parties, and built estates far plainer than his Vanderbilt's neighbors. Each penny saved was a step toward his goal. In practice, this meant driving an old car, living on a budget, and treating credit cards like fire. Franklin's old warning and Rockefeller's actions tell us, if you spend less than you earn, you always keep control. 2. Save and reinvest every opportunity. Andrew Carnegie echoed this thrift. He advised young workers, whatever your wages are, save a little. Live within your means. Carnegie began life as a factory bobbin boy and kept pinching pennies, then invested those savings in his first steel mill. He believed every dollar kept could be multiplied. Even Rockefeller treated money with reverence. He once said he never would have been able to tithe the first $1 million if he had not tithed his first salary, $1.50 per week. In other words, he started small, giving and saving a tiny fraction, and grew it. These men treated saving like a habit. They didn't wait to have extra money. Instead, they built saving into their routine, then plowed those funds back into their businesses. The lesson: automate savings and channel them into growth. Your future empire will thank you. 3. Avoid buying on credit. Cornelius Vanderbilt had a simple rule. When I have some money, I buy railroad stock or something else, but I don't buy on credit. He warned that people who live too much on credit generally get brought up with a round turn in the long run. In practice, Vanderbilt never charged clothes, meals, or even horses. He paid cash. By shunning consumer debt, he avoided the high interest that would have eaten into his returns. Benjamin Franklin also scolded would-be spenders. Decades earlier, he wrote in Poor Richard's Almanac that debt is a disease that strips freedom. He said something like, rather go to bed without dinner than to rise in debt. These tycoons treated credit cards and loans with suspicion. Instead of flexible payments and instant gratification, they focused on ready money. Vanderbilt's advice still holds. Avoid unnecessary loans. Pay cash for what you can, and only borrow for strategic investment. 4. Invest in solid ventures, not speculation. Saving is just the start. Investing wisely is next. Carnegie cautioned against gambling your savings. If you have savings, invest them in solid securities, lands, or property. The man who gambles upon the exchanges is in the condition of the man who gambles at the gaming table. In other words, put money into things you understand and control, not get-rich-quick schemes. The Renaissance Medici bankers showed similar prudence. They pioneered double-entry bookkeeping, a system to track every asset and liability. This let them see all loans and investments at a glance, ensuring no losses hid in the books. In ancient Rome, lenders even wrote formal loan contracts, a chirography, by hand and kept sealed copies as evidence. Today, this translates to keeping tight books and careful plans. Review investments, understand risks, and never lose sight of debt on the balance sheet. If the Medici or a Roman trader lent you money, they'd expect you to budget for every payment, and so should you. 5. Mind the small leaks. Finally, don't overlook the little things. Franklin famously said, beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. A single lunch out each week, an extra subscription, a higher interest loan. These small leaks in your budget can compound. History savers counted every dime, caught hidden fees, and squeezed out waste. Take note. Keeping your budget tight on the margins means more snowball to attack debt and invest. By fixing those leaks, cutting unneeded expenses, and paying off one debt at a time, you build a watertight financial ship. Closing thoughts. The world's richest didn't become so by accident. Their habits were deliberate. They spent less than they earned, saved relentlessly, borrowed only for profitable growth, and carefully tracked every expense. By walking in their footsteps, you can too break free from the modern debt cycle. Start today. Live simply, save a fraction of every paycheck, say no to frivolous credit, invest in things you understand, and watch for small leaks in your budget. Over time, these disciplined habits add up. You don't need a billionaire's income to adopt this mindset. Just consistent effort and patience. Build these habits and watch your own debt shrink and savings grow, just as Franklin, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, and others prove possible. The path of the debt-free wealthy is open to anyone who chooses discipline over debt.